Hello, my friends. John LaRuffa here with another straight up solo. And in this episode, we're going to look at my D tier list of solo games. So, not every game can be winners, all right? And this one is a list of games that I would not consider winners. Now, they're not awful games. I've got them broken up in a couple different categories, but they're clearly not for me, or they're on the verge of not being for me, okay? Because some of these games are still in my collection, but most of them aren't. But these are ones that I would never really recommend to anybody. Again, they aren't necessarily bad games. They're just not great solo experiences, or they're okay solo experiences. And so let's go through the ones that I would say are just okay, all right? So let's start with It's a Wonderful World. Nothing is wrong with that game. It is a decent drafting game. I just think from a solo standpoint, it's merely okay. I think it'd be more fun with more people. Mistborn is another perfect example of that. I like the concept of the game, but the solo is kind of ho-hum. It's just okay. The actual way that the mechanics work is kind of cool, but I wasn't blown away by the whole solo bot situation really at all. Another one that I don't understand why I don't like more, but I just can't get into is Dinosaur Island, Rawr, and Right. And I actually have that game sitting unplayed for a long time. It's been at least 2 years since I played it. And I need to give it another shot. But it's one of those games, for whatever reason, that falls into this medium-light category of roll and writes that I just am not looking to play. It's like it's not light enough to be a light game. It's not heavy enough to be exciting to me in that regard. It's in that wrong band. And so that's why it's on the D tier list. Here's one that's going to shock, and a lot of people are going to be like, oh my gosh. Ark Nova. It's just okay. I've played it a bunch of times. I think it'd be more fun to play it with more people. But the solo game, you feel like it is so difficult to win. And it's just, there's a lot of effort for not a bunch of juice. You know, the juice just isn't worth the squeeze for me from a solo standpoint. So I played it a bunch. I even added the expansion and everything else, but I ultimately sold it just because I just never felt like it was as fun to play as another game that similarly has the same type of cards, and that's the Civilization New Dawn, which I like more. So I parted with that one. Apiary, just okay. Nothing wrong with that game, but it was pretty derivative in my mind of other games that were like it. I ended up selling it. Chocolate Factory wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. It was fine. The solo was fine, but it was just kind of a little bit of a ho-hum. And even after selling it, I know it's actually on Board Game Arena. I still haven't played it there because it was okay. It just didn't really grab me. Another one that I was disappointed in, and I should have known better, was Galactic Cruise. Galactic Cruise had a lot of trappings of cool Euros goodness, but in the end, it was a lot of work for that one payout. And then, it's like every time I played the game, I felt like I had already seen everything I was going to see. So the excitement wasn't there. Galileo Galilei, same kind of deal. I just didn't find it all that appealing. It was okay, but nothing to write home about. I'll put like the Agropolis and those mega, what is it called? The city one versus that, but the card game that you flip down. I wrote Agropolis down because I still have it. I'll play it every very now and then, and it's all right. It's not bad. It's just not something I reach for all that often. Evergreen, not worth it for the solo. Not worth it for the experience in my mind. It just didn't appeal to me as much as I thought it should have. Cape May, okay, it was all right, but I didn't need it in my collection. Just okay. Terminus over here, I need to play a few more times. So far, I've got it as okay. I'd like to see if it stays. It has the potential, I think, to get a little bit better. But right now, I've only played it a couple times. I've had it for a while. I don't know. It's all right. Revive, I had to part with because I didn't find the solo very fun, to be honest. It was all right. I know that the expansion is out, and there's a couple of Automas, and I didn't wait for any of that. I just decided, there's a lot of fiddly setup. There's a lot of stuff I have to do to kind of put this game on the table. I'd rather, for the kind of feel, I'd absolutely positively rather spend my time playing Age of Innovation, and so Revive had to go. Harmonies was fine, but I had my fill, and it was time to move on. Nothing super bad with the game. It's fine. just not great. I'd also throw Three Sisters into that from a roll and write standpoint. I had my fill with that, but I think French Quarter is a lot more fun, and so I sold Three Sisters. Nova Roma. A lot of people like that game. I thought the solo was okay. That's all I'll say about that. I only played it once or twice and didn't feel the need to relearn it after that time where I kind of forgot and said, yeah, I can part with this. Dune Imperium, I found, was not nearly as fun as I thought it was going to be. And the reason I think it is because I didn't really love controlling the Automa with the app. I know they had some cards, but the cards didn't let you shuffle and do other things. And I hated the fact that I had to control two Automas and just play with one. And the Automas were a little bit, there was just stuff to do. And I felt like I was spending more time on them than I was on me. And the overall game, I didn't find as intriguing as I thought I would. And that includes having two of the expansions in there. I didn't play the most recent Dune. I can't remember what that one was called, but I just decided to part with it. Cloud Age was decent when I was playing it, but I finished and I was done. That's okay. The Loop, not a bad game, but for whatever reason, I wasn't in the mood to play it after I played it a couple of times, and I don't know why. There was a lot of stuff that could have been cool about it. It just didn't grip me. Two other games that are very similar, The Magnificent and Santa Maria. I played them a few times, and then I felt like I had played them enough. I saw all the game had to offer, and I was good with it. Coloma, I played it once, and didn't even pick it up again afterwards. There was nothing special about it to me, and I just let it go. Mechs versus Minions, probably could have given it more of a shot. I played a couple of the games. I didn't finish all 10. And it didn't, the programming and the things the way we were doing was fine. It didn't speak to me as something I wanted to break back out, relearn, and play a lot. And then Genotype, nothing was wrong with Genotype. It was like so many other things I had in my collection, but just slightly different. I decided it's an easy one for me to sell. Now, those are the ones that are just okay. And I don't really beat up on a lot of those games because they were good for a while, but they didn't last in my collection. Now, not good to play as a solo game, but I think is probably a very good game. Go to games like Churchill, for instance. Churchill was a really cool game. It just was not fun to play solo at all. I didn't like the way it played. Ironwood, also a pretty good game, but dudes on the map can be really obnoxious solo because of the movement rules. And that one just wasn't worth it to me. I played it like once and a half, maybe twice, and that was it. I just decided to sell it almost right away. Tabannusi, Builders of Ur, that was a cool game. It was a lousy solo experience. There was too much to do. The bot was too hard to run. I love David Turczi's design. So you know what? Not everybody can have everything be perfect. This game just didn't feel like it was really well done from a solo standpoint. And I don't mean to dog on the man. The man does amazing work in almost every case. Maybe this game just didn't really work well for solo. But I really liked the idea of the game. I just couldn't play it for the effort it took to try to get the solo off the ground. I mean, I did, but it wasn't worth it. Same thing with Trismegistus. I had that game for a while. I tried to love it. It just didn't love me back. It was a lot of effort and work. And I always felt like I was getting clobbered by the solo bot. So sold that one too. Crisis, good multiplayer game. Not very much fun solo. That's all there is to it. I enjoyed playing it with other people, but solo was it just didn't, I don't know. There was something there. It just was not very fun. I had to sell that one. Fayium by Freeman Freeze. Here's a game that I thought ought to be better, but the problem with the solo is you basically had the same type of game over and over and over. You cycled the same deck of cards. You always had the possibility of getting everything. So it just wasn't that interesting when you played it from a solo standpoint. Probably a lot better multiplayer. And same thing with Free Ride. Free Ride was an okay puzzle, but I just think it'd be better with more people. So not so good from a solo standpoint. All right. Now I've got a couple games that fall into the just not interesting category. I got them as uninteresting. First one is Minos, Dawn of the Bronze Age. For whatever reason, I just wasn't that interested in when I played it. I played it. It was adequate. It was fine, but it was like, what is it about this game that does not make me excited? I don't know what it is, but I don't feel like playing it ever again. Sold it after one play. Hippocrates, tried it multiple times. I ended up parting with it after playing with the expansion, just realizing, you know what? There's just not enough here for me to deal with all the fiddliness and moving things around and everything else. Just not that much fun compared to the effort I had to put in. Uninteresting. Fine Sand got old pretty quick. Rallyman, I'm sure would be great with multiple people. It being a time trial mode was very uninteresting for me in a solo standpoint. The Spill, pretty generic kind of solo experience and multiplayer game, period. New York Zoo. I love Uwe Rosenberg. That game just did not excite me at all. Shipwrights of the North Sea redo. So that one was good for 2 plays, and then I'm like, I think I've seen everything. It's just not that interesting. If I'm going to pick up a game, I'm going to pick up anything but this from a standpoint of the Garfield games. So sold that. Mercurial, probably, I don't know, maybe for some people, but it just did not have a lot of staying power for me. Creature Caravan is still in my collection. I'm going to give it one more try, but I was pretty ho-hum about it after playing it the first time. We'll see what happens. Isle of Cats, not that interesting and really not that good solo-wise. All right, now I've got some that I'll call unrewarding. And they are unrewarding for a variety of reasons. The first one is Railroad Tiles. Okay, I like Railroad Inc. a lot. Railroad Tiles was a very similar game with a lot more effort just to put in. I didn't think it was worth it. It was just unrewarding. I'd rather pull off the Railroad Inc. any day of the week, play that versus Railroad Tiles. Tiny Epic Galaxies, Tiny Epic Zombies, almost every Tiny Epic game. Tiny Epic Pirates, except Tiny Epic Dungeon. I love Tiny Epic Dungeon. Very good game. The other ones, for whatever reason, I felt like it was a very complex, very convoluted, very fiddly, tough to learn and play sort of game with not a lot of rewards solo-wise. The zombie one was okay. I didn't really find Galaxies to be that much fun at all, and I played a couple other ones. Tiny Epic Kingdoms, I think, had a solo. There were several of them I played, but it just didn't have what I was looking for. So those go into the unrewarding category. Pendulum, from a solo standpoint, just not a good fit. Tiny Town, it was all right. Played it for a little while, but I don't know. Nothing special there. Woodcraft. There's a surprising one, I know, because it's got a lot of cool European mechanics, but it definitely felt underwhelming. Every time I played, I felt like I was putting way more effort than I was having fun. So had to pass on that eventually. And I tried to love that one. But it just was like, I'm not sure what I'm missing, but this game is not getting me excited. Autobahn was just too much work for the weird scoring mechanics. And it was a very complex, so to speak, game with a lot going on. And I just felt like I put in a lot of effort. And then, I don't know, something about it just didn't make me feel excited. It was a drag. And I'll also say Golem, Euro-wise, you think this is perfect. There's a lot going on. I felt like it was also a drag. The juice was not worth the squeeze. Just too much of an effort there for the fun I was having. And then finally, Reykholt by Uwe Rosenberg again. It just struck out. The solo was it felt derivative almost. And any day of the week, I'd rather play any of his other designs than that one. Now I'll throw in a couple that are brutally difficult that crushed the solo experience for me because they were just so punishing. And the first one is This War of Mine. I tried and tried and tried again. And I also tried different scenarios and I tried some expansions. I always got clobbered in that game. And there's just only so much you can take from a game that's pretty fiddly and got a lot to set up and a lot to maneuver and everything else when you're just constantly getting destroyed in the first third of the game. That's how I felt. I was always in trouble. I don't think I ever made it to turn 5 or 6. Ever. Too Many Bones. Too Many Bones, same reason. I liked the spirit of what I thought I was going to do in that game. But in reality, there would be a time when I get to a battle about maybe halfway to 2/3 of the way. And if it didn't go right, it basically meant I shouldn't even continue because after I would try again or do something else, by the time I would get going, I wouldn't have enough time to actually win. I tried it with multiple characters, with multiple setups in many different expansions. Ultimately, just decided to pass on that one. And then Pampero, or Pampero, a great game, impossible to win solo. So I liked the game, but you had to do everything perfect, and then even then, you might not win solo. So it was just like, you know what, this isn't worth it. I mean, I know I'm going to lose, and there's a lot of effort in managing the bot, so I just don't think it's worth the effort and the exhaustion that it was taking to get that done. So those are the brutally difficult ones. And then I've got ones that are just, in my opinion, boring. And they got boring, or they are boring from the get-go. The first one was Sleeping Gods. I played one full campaign, but halfway through that campaign, I definitely got bored of the whole thing. But I gutted it out, finished it up, packed it up, sold it. I was just not interested in finding out any more endings. I didn't care. The gameplay mechanic was mediocre. I don't care about the story because it just wasn't that interesting. And I just found that game really boring. So that was it. Warfighter, Thunderbolt Apache Leader, any of those leader series just don't resonate for me. They are fine games for people who like that style, but I found them extremely boring and not fulfilling in the least. And I tried a lot too, because I thought, oh, these would be cool. There's like a lot of cool stuff about this. I like the idea of what I'm doing, setting up for these missions, and it's good. But then missions would like fall apart on me all the time. Like the dice would just rob me. I would be missing. And it's like, this isn't worth it. And then someone's getting injured and fatigued and dying. It's like, oh, no, thanks. Those could go into the brutally difficult / boring category in my mind. Sagrada I found very boring from a solo standpoint. I don't think dice drafting for its own sake was anything really all that exciting to me, and I just passed. And then finally, after a couple plays, Legacy of You got really, really boring to me too. I played about halfway through the campaign and then had no interest of continuing on. It just didn't have enough unlockable change and excitement to keep me going. So those are a bunch of D-tier games that I wouldn't really recommend playing solo for a variety of reasons. I know that some of these games on this list are maybe some of your favorites. And I'm not trying to dog on games that I think are legitimately good games, but just not for me. People put their heart and soul into designing these things, and none of the games that I listed here were broken or bad games. They just didn't work. That's why they're D tiers for me. Not the best. Not something that I'm going to really reach out to. Maybe something that's going to leave my collection sooner rather than later, but just didn't have what it takes to get me excited. So there you have it. There is the D tier list. I really appreciate you watching and tuning in. I'm interested to see if there's a couple of games that I said here that maybe I got all wrong. You could tell me that in the comments. Oh, this is my favorite game, and here's why. But that's where I am with this stuff. So thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it, everybody. Whatever you do in the future, I really hope you have a fantastic time doing it. Take it easy.